What's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our PPL Season 4 Week 6 match versus none other than George, aka SceptileMC, coach of the San Francisco Arcaniners. If you have not done so for whatever reason, please check out his channel in the description below. He is an absolutely incredible battler, definitely one of the best in league format, and that's coming from someone who has seen multiple leagues play, many leagues play. I've seen a lot of different battlers, and George definitely ranks up there among one of the top. So if you're not subscribed to him already, please do so. He's GBA S6 Champion. He was runner-up Season 5. He continues to do well, and we have to face him today. So for a quick rundown of my team, we have our Zap Plate Nasty Plot Thunderous, we have our Adamant Offensive Violite Pilot's Line, we have our Expert Belt Nasty Plot Mew, we have our Bandit Terrakion, we have our Bulky Dragon Dance Mega Altaria, and we have our Rocky Helmet Skuntank. So looking at his team, first thing I noticed, there are two main things that I noticed. One, no Manectric, meaning that Thunderous can just spam Thunderbolt across the entirety of his team and it'll get a lot of damage off onto anything. And two, the only things he has to stop my Mega Altaria are his Azumarill and Jirachi. I do not have Earthquake this game because, like I said, I didn't want to be burnt by... not only did I not want to be burnt by Sableye, like I was debating running Facade on my Mega Altaria, but also having Heal Bell on Altaria meant that I could play more aggressively with things like Terrakion. I could switch Terrakion in on P2. Obviously, he doesn't have P2. So he definitely brought a very threatening team, but a couple mons like the Typhlosion and the Hitmonlee I didn't really see coming. But it definitely makes sense as to why he brought them. They're going to be tough to deal with, but I do have my responses to them. But looking at his team, he has his Mega Sableye, his Typhlosion, the Salamence, Azumarill, Hitmonlee, and Jirachi. So I decided to lead with my Mega Altaria because typically when people run Mega Sableye, they like to lead with it just to make sure that they can bounce back hazards, and it doesn't look like he has a hazard remover on his team. Salamence could be Defog, but I feel like he'd want coverage for my team. Hitmonlee, I feel like would be some sort of like either Scarf set or like a Life Orb set without Rapid Spin because I do have Jellicent. But we'll see. So I'm expecting him to lead with Sableye, and Mega Altaria has a good matchup versus everything bar Azumarill and Jirachi. So I am going to lead with my Mega Altaria as he ends up leading with his Jirachi, which is kind of unfortunate, but I can switch out into my Skuntank, which is meant to kind of take this thing on, which is really nice. As he's going to go for the Iron Head, and unfortunately I'm going to flinch, but I was like, okay, this is okay. I'm going to be able to go for the percent on the next turn, get some damage off. He's not going to attack me because of Fearing Sucker Punch, but he attacks me again, flinches me. So here, I could have stayed in and just sacked my Skuntank to the Iron Head because he would have been under 50% at that point. He would have taken Rocky Helmet damage, he would have taken the Aftermath damage, and that would have put him very low, which is very nice for my Altaria because this is the biggest threat to my Altaria. But I decided against it. I decided I was going to save it, go out into my Mew, which can take the Iron Head very well, and as you're going to see here, he is going to go for Iron Head, and I'm able to tank that easily. So here, I really expected him to switch out. I didn't think he'd want to get knocked off or burnt or anything like that. I figured he might go into Sableye, but he just throws up a Wish. And because he did that, I'm thinking, okay, he's definitely going out into Sableye. So I go for the Dazzling Gleam. I overpredict, he stays in, and he's just going to get a slow U-turn out. Had I gone for Earth Power, this thing would have been dead, and that would have been awesome. He's going to send out his Azumarill, as I'm going to go out into my Skuntank, just to sack it off, get the Rocky Helmet, get the Aftermath damage off onto it, which is really nice, because now this thing is definitely in range of Altaria's +1 return, though he does have the leftovers, so keep that in mind as we go throughout. Here, I have a free switch out into my Thunderous. I can take an Aqua Jet from this thing, and I can knock him out with the Thunderbolt. I also should be able to get a 2 KO onto anything he wants to send in. And he sends in Typhlosion. I'm like, great, he's stacking Typhlosion. And then I go for Thunderbolt, and it does that little damage. Like, this is an Assault Vest Typhlosion, and that's not the weirdest part. The weirdest part is this part, when he goes for the Flare Blitz onto my Pilot's Line, and thankfully, I can take 2 of those just because of Pilot's Line's natural bulk, and I will be able to knock out Typhlosion with the Earthquake, but he has now crippled my team pretty heavily. That was definitely cool innovation on his part. Here, I could have just gone for the safe Earthquake, but I was like, there's literally no way he's going for Wish. Because I know his full moveset, it's Iron Head, U-turn, Stealth Rock, and Wish, so he does not have Protect. I know he's not going for Protect, I know he's not going for Wish, because if I Earthquake on a Wish, he might die. So I'm just going to go for Ice Shard, get a little bit of chip damage off onto it. Probably wasn't worth it, but a little bit is still nice. Puts him at a little bit lower than he would have been, like 2% lower. But here, I'm going to go out into Mew, because I'm thinking, okay, he's going to want to stay in and U-turn on me. My biggest goal right now is just get damage off onto this so Altaria can win. And because he's shown leftovers, because that Ice Shard did literally nothing, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be a bulky variant. As it turns out, he is a bulky variant, but he's also Jolly max speed, max HP, meaning he wins the speed tie and he's able to knock out my Mew, and I lose my Mew for absolutely nothing, which definitely sucks because now I don't have a good answer. Well, I do have my my Altaria, but that makes me weaker to Hitmonlee, that makes me weaker to the Salamence as well, since I was max speed with Dazzling Gleam. So that was really unfortunate, but what I can at least do now is go out into Thundurus and hit him with a Thunderbolt, which thankfully he allows me to do, allowing me to weaken him quite a bit. And now whatever he goes into will still not appreciate this. Like, he can go Azu and possibly knock me out, but because he's leftovers, I don't believe he can. He's going to go out into Sableye, which I can 2-KO with the Thunderbolt, as you're going to see here. But George put some very good prep onto his team, or put some very good prep onto this, as he actually goes for the Snarl, which means that my Defiant activates, which is funny, but I don't have physical moves, so it doesn't matter. But now I can't knock him out from this range. As you can see, I'm going to go for another Thunderbolt, and I cannot knock him out. But thankfully, I am packing the Nasty Plot on this thing. So after a couple Thunderbolts, I'm going to get him a little bit low, and then I'm going to force him to recover one more time as I go right for the Nasty Plot, putting me at +1 and putting me in a good spot to do a lot of damage to him. Thankfully, he does not have Shadow Sneak or Sucker Punch. I do get the Paralysis with the Thunderbolt, but he is going to break through and knock me out with the Snarl. It's kind of funny that two people in a row have brought Snarl versus me, but regardless, here, this is a good chance for me to set up. He's very weak to Altaria. I should be able to kill everything on his team bar the Jirachi at this point, and if he hard switches Jirachi, I can set up to another Dragon Dance. I know he doesn't have T-Wave. Ironhead will not be able to 2-KO me, or should not be able to 2-KO me. So here, I'm going to send out my Altaria, and I'm going to go right for the Dragon Dance, as he's going to send Hard Switch into his Azumarill, which was a very good play on his part, because that was the best chance he had of living this, and he was still fearing Earthquake. I'm going to fire off a return, and thankfully it is able to knock him out. I'm not sure the investment he had on this Azumarill, but I'm not sure if that was a guaranteed KO, because if he survived that hit, he just straight up won. Like, there's absolutely nothing I could do. Like, Jirachi, there's not a move I can lock myself into with Terrakion that'll allow me to win this game. But thankfully, we are able to knock out Azumarill. Those 64 attack EVs coming in clutch, and he is going to go down. Now, he's going to send out his Hitmonlee. He doesn't want to go out into Jirachi because he's fearing the Earthquake, but he pulls out the Normal Gem Fake Out Unburdened set, which was very good prep on his part, because now that he is faster than me, even if I go for another Dragon Dance, he will still be able to outspeed me. He can just spam Poison Jab. Eventually he'll get a Poison or a Crit or something, and he will be able to knock me out. And then I have to go out in the Terrakion, and then he can knock me out with close combat. So even though I can live a Poison Jab here and knock him out with a return, it's still a bad spot for me, because again, Terrakion can't really knock himself into anything. Granted, nothing on his team outspeeds me. He can kind of like pivot around. He can go Jirachi and knock me out in the following turn, and because I'm so low, I can't Roost stall it, but he has more Iron Heads than I have Roosts, so unless he like decides to not click Iron Head for whatever reason, then I can't beat it, especially because like he'll crit me eventually, and I'm only getting about as much back as he's dealing to me, so I can't recover versus that thing. But in a very unfortunate realization hits George, as he learns that after I flinch, he forgot to put Unburden on this thing. He, I think, had Limber or something like that, and Poison Jab's going to do under half to me. He's not going to get the Poison, and I can just click Return here and get a kill. If I clicked another Dragon Dance here, that would have been great, but I wasn't risking him clicking Poison Jab again. I'm going to be able to knock out the Sableye. He made the good play in sacking Sableye. That was his best overall play. It's doing absolutely nothing for him, other than stopping my Terrakion from spamming close combat, which is a very nice thing for me to have now, but he does have Salamence that resists, and again, Sableye is just not doing a lot versus my team. So he's going to send in Mence. I'm going to go for the return because I can knock it out. He's going to get the Intimidate off, and then he's going to stack off his Hitmonlee to the return. Good play on his part as well. He's not unburdened. He can't do what he wants to do with Hitmonlee. This is a play that I want to explain a little bit and why it's my best play. Because he's Intimidate, and because he didn't attack me on that turn, I'm pretty convinced he's not Choice Scarfed. He could be, but I really don't think he is. I'm thinking because he's Intimidate, because I know he's going to have Iron Tail because it hits Mega Altaria. It's the best thing he has to hit Mega Altaria, hits Terrakion as well. I'm thinking he's going to be some sort of Dragon Dance variant. Return at -1 does not knock out Salamence from my set. And if he goes for a Dragon Dance, he will be able to outspeed my Altaria and knock it out, and then knock out my Terrakion with Iron Tail on the following turn. So 100% my best play is clicking Dragon Dance again. Even worst case scenario, if he knocks me out with the Iron Tail, I can still win by hitting 2 Stone Edges, because Stone Edge will knock out the Mence, and then Stone Edge should be able to knock out the Jirachi. If it doesn't, it's a 2 KO, and like I said, he doesn't have Protect. Granted, I have to hit 3 Stone Edges, but this is still overall my best play, because if he Dragon Dances up, and I just go for return, and I don't knock him out, he wins the game. So I'm going to go for the Dragon Dance, expecting him to Dragon Dance, as he actually just switches out into his Jirachi. So there's that play, and here I believe this is the turn that I go for the return, just to get damage on Rachi to KO him from that point. And as you're going to see here, he's going to switch it back out into his Mence, which does live as I expected, and here my best play once again is to just go for Dragon Dance, because it's, again, just my best overall play. If he switches into Jirachi, I need to make sure I can 2 KO that thing, which I think I can from this range. I'm not 100% sure, but it's likely. Here, once again, he is going to switch out into his Mence, as I hit him with the -1 return. Obviously, that's going to knock him out. But now he is going to send out his Jirachi, and this is where the bulk investment on Altaria is going to help out, because I'm going to Dragon Dance up. He's going to wish. I knew he was going to wish, he had to. If he attacked me and killed me, Terrakion comes in and clicks close combat. I'm going to roost up on the Iron Head. I'm able to tank it. Does a little bit less than 50%. So here, he's going to get the wish back, totally fine. I am going to go for another roost, kind of scout out the rolls, see if that was a low roll or a high roll. He gets a lower roll, so I'm thinking, okay, the first one he got was the higher roll. So here, I'm going to go for the return, get some nice damage off onto him, as he's going to throw up a wish. And now I'm like, okay, if I go for Dragon Dance, even when he gets his health back, I'll be able to click return and then knock him out with Terrakion. But he's going to get a higher roll. I'm not sure if that was like a max roll or what it was. I can check that after the match, or if anybody wants to check that out. I am max HP Altaria. He is no attack Jirachi. But he gets the high roll, and he's able to knock out my Altaria, which really blows, because now I don't have Earthquake on my Terrakion. I can live an Iron Head, I know that, but I don't know if I can live a -1 Iron Head. Like, I'll be at -1 defenses after I hit him with the close combat. So that's my only play, is to go for close combat and then hope I live. So as you're going to see here, I go for close combat, get a lot of damage off onto him. If I live this, I win. If I don't, I lose. We live the Iron Head on 5% of our HP, and on the following turn, we will be able to outspeed him and knock him out with the next close combat, giving us the narrow 1-0 victory over George SceptileMC. That was an absolutely incredible game. Before I go into what I think I did well, I just want to point out him not being unburdened on Hitmonlee absolutely sucked. That 100% cost him the game. Like, if he was unburdened on Hitmonlee, he won that game 100%. Maybe not 100%, because like I said, I did take the poison jab with Altaria, and I could have knocked out the Hitmonlee, and then I could have maybe roosted up versus the Jirachi, but it was very unlikely at that point. He would have been able to go to Jirachi and just pressure me until I died, and then Terrakion would come in, and I don't think I would have been able to win unless I hit a bunch of Stone Edges. The things that I think I did right, earlier on in the game, should I have sacked Skuntank to the Jirachi? Maybe. It might have ended up being more helpful, but the Aftermath Rocky Helmet damage that I got onto the Azumarill were hugely important. Like, hugely important. Like I said earlier, if I did not kill Azumarill with that Altaria, I 100% lost the game at that point. So being able to knock out Azumarill was absolutely huge. Later on, even though it didn't end up working out how I thought it was going to work out between my Altaria and his Salamence, I'm still glad that I was able to make those plays, because had he been a Dragon Dance set, he would have lived the return, he would have Dragon Danced up, and he would have just swept me, assuming he hit 2 Iron Tails. So that was really important as well. I'm glad I preserved my Terrakion the way I did. I was debating at one point going into Terrakion just to take an Aqua Jet from Azu to knock it out, and I'm glad I didn't. Was thinking about also switching it in on Typhlosion. I'm glad I didn't do that either. I made the safer play, the better play. This was an absolutely incredible game. Up there, nearly as good a game, I think, as the last game of the GBA season last season, but regardless, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly did. This was an absolutely incredible game. Also, just for some clarity, the Iron Head had a 44% chance to knock me out. Essentially, It did 86 to 101%. I had taken Stealth Rock damage. It had a 43.8 chance to knock me out after Stealth Rock at -1 defense. So it was about a 50-50 roll. So when that happened, the first thing I thought of course, because I'm an asshole, was yes, justice! But I also, that was just incredible. This was an absolutely incredible game. It came down to the absolute wire, and I do not fault George for any of the plays he made. The only thing that he did wrong, really, was forget to put Unburden on Hitmonlee, which really, really sucked for him. Like I said, more than likely cost him the game, but things like that do happen. Gotta double check. It sucks. It happens. I've done it before. It's awful, but regardless, that's enough of me talking. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.